Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's so great to see all 17 of you. Yeah! Not that I'm complaining, it's just, I know I have more than 17 friends on Facebook, and I'm not saying I want a lot of attention, it's just, I'm a YouTuber, so... yeah. Shameless groveling aside, last episode I talked about Dystopia Rising. Well, I got a lot of great feedback from you guys. There seems to have been some confusion about what the actual purpose of the video was. So let me explain. If I had to take a friend of mine to Dystopia Rising for the first time and he knew nothing about the game and I didn't have time to explain everything, I made that video as a sort of crash course summary of everything he needs to know in a hurry so he's at least functional for his first game. And I also got questions like, why didn't you talk about the combat system if it was fun or not? Or what were your expectations for your first game and how were they different when you actually got there? Or how do you make money? And yes, you can make money. Money, money, money! Money! As for what my opinion is of the game, I feel like those questions would be better suited for my critique video that'll come later on. And yeah, I did give a couple of nods to some criticisms I had of the game, but I don't like being the guy who just complains about something and doesn't offer a solution. I feel that's just unproductive. As for why I didn't talk about mechanics like how to make money or more about the strains and things like that, you see, Dystopia Rising is such a massive game with so much information just to cram in all at once. I feel like it's a lot harder on me to make one long video about everything you need to know about Dystopia Rising in a manner that isn't confusing, doesn't ramble, and does the game justice overall. Instead, I want to make short, segmented videos about each of the mechanics of the game that players can look up individually without hunting through a big long mess. But before we get to the actual meat of this video, I'd like to make a special announcement. After I'm done making these how to play videos for Dystopia Rising, I'd like to work with the players directly on making short cinematic videos about each of the strains you'll find in Dystopia Rising. For this you need to look the part, act the part, and know the part. You need to know what your strain is forward, backwards, sideways, upside down, and blindfolded. By heart. I don't want just anyone being all like, oh yeah, I'm a remnant, alright, yeah, I don't look like a remnant, I don't act like a remnant. I actually couldn't tell you what the textbook definition of what a remnant actually is, but I'm a remnant! Oh yeah. With all that being said, by the title of this video you probably already know, this one's going to be all about combat. Let's get started. So for your weapon types, you have your small, standard, two-handed, large, and of course firearms. A small starter weapon has a default damage of 2. A small weapon is classified by being 12 to 21 inches in length. A starter standard weapon also has a default damage of 2. A standard melee weapon is classified by being 18 to 39 inches in length. A starter large weapon has a default damage of 2 when held in one hand, but does 3 damage when held in both. It's determined a large by being between 36 and 53 inches long. This also includes hand and a half and bastard weapons. A starter two-handed weapon is between 60 and 63 inches in length. It has a default damage of 3, but can only be wielded if you have both hands on the weapon. Then you have your guns. All starter firearms have a default damage of 3. You can also use a bow, but you can't have a string or use arrows. You have to throw little packets filled with rice or beans instead. Now let's get on to combat. For this example, I'm going to be using my good friend, Greg. Say hi to the camera, Greg. I'm going to do stuff to Greg. Alright, now that we got Greg situated, let's get to how the combat works. So Dystopia Rising's combat runs on a number system. When you get to the logistics cabin, you'll get this little sticker tab thing here that'll give you the number damage of your weapon. And the number damage that you get is what you call out during combat. So if you're in a melee fight, the combat goes something like this. 2, 2, 2. 2, 2, 2. 2, 2, 2. You also have to do all of your melee attacks in volleys of 3 at a 90-degree swing with each attack, otherwise the attack doesn't count. It's also lightest touch combat, so no roughhousing. Margaret, why did you leave me? Now for the combat abilities. When you're in combat, like a regular melee attack, you have to call out the special abilities when you use it. Break armor, cripple limb, cripple limb, cripple limb. But there's also counter abilities you can use to prevent such attacks. One of the best defensive combat abilities would have to be parry, meaning when you get attacked by a player's ability, you call out parry, and it negates their attack. The equivalent of that for gun users is avoid, which has the same effect as parry. Also, there are abilities you can combine together, such as with guns, like Gun Aficionado and Scattershot. Gun Aficionado does 15 damage on your next target, but with Scattershot, that 15 damage is spread up to 6 other opponents. The melee equivalent would have to be the abilities Wide Strike and Frightening Force. Frightening Force does 30 damage with your next attack, and can cause a separate player to flee in fear of you as long as you call it out. For example, Frightening Force 30 damage and you're afraid of me and can't attack me for 5 minutes. Yeah. So, bitch. Get wrecked, son. Provided they don't use an ability like dodge or avoid, which then negates the attack. Also, be on the lookout for players or monsters with augmented weapons or abilities, such as fire damage, poison, toxin, radiation, because they all have the potential to go past your armor. As a new player, you're probably not going to have access to those kind of augmentations for your weapons, so just be careful. Also, there's abilities you can only perform when you're using a certain weapon type. For example, Backstab, an ability that allows you to bypass a player or character's armor and attack directly to their health points, which requires a small weapon to use. Also, players and NPCs struck from behind with an ability cannot be parried. Backstab, 2 damage. Now, if while in combat your character's health points reaches 0, you enter a phase called Bleed Out, meaning you have 5 minutes to receive medical help before you die. And once you enter your bleed out phase, you can either fall to a knee or lay on the ground. After that, you die, you lose an infection point, and your character's that much closer to the big dirt nap in the sky. And feel free to ham it up while you're at it.
Will you hold me?
No.
Kiss on the cheek.
No.
Just hug me.
I don't want to do any of that.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Aren't you dead yet?
Very close, Starchild. The end is near. Oh.
Sleep, friend. They can't hurt you now.
Oh.
And that's everything you need to know about Dystopia Rising's combat system. Before I go, I have a special little shout out I'd like to make to my man Joshua Dutton. Yeah, Joshua Dutton! Yeah. Joshua's a longtime player of Dystopia Rising, and he was a great sport about my last video, and he offered me a lot of helpful advice on how I could make my videos a little crisper, a little nicer for you guys to watch, and I was really grateful for that. I took it into account as best I could. I moved everything into another room so I had more space to back up, so I wasn't so close to wasn't so close to the camera. Ah! But yeah, I was really grateful for the advice he gave me, and I followed it as best I could, like I said. And I really appreciate it when you guys do that for me. I want to give you the best possible show that I can give you on the shoestring budget that I have. So thank you to Joshua for the help. I'm going to try to do better, get some more lights, make this place look a little nicer, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.